This show is so cute. Hello everybody, my name is MeisterBloo, and today I took a look at the very first episode of a show called Monogatari, also called My Love Story, which is a show that's been pretty requested for me to watch for a while now. It is made by Studio Madhouse and licensed by Sentai Filmworks, and it is very, very cute. I can personally see why a few of you guys who have been following my channel for a while would have recommended this to me, because this is right up my alley in terms of anime that I would love. So the show follows this main character named Goda, which is really cool. He's this huge, huge mountain of a person. He is literally, that's the best way to describe him. He's a mountain, and it's funny because the show opens up and he's in junior high school, and he is towering over everybody. He's got like the deepest voice I've ever heard in anime, and he looks like he'd be the most intimidating person ever. But he turns out he's just a big softie. He has a best friend named Suma, who at first looks a lot like Light from Death Note, so I was really cautious when I first saw this guy. But it turns out that he is the guy that all the girls fall for. He is silent, doesn't really talk to anybody except for his best friend Goda, a guy who just plays video games, is super good at them, and is constantly being asked out by people, but turns them down every single time. This episode opens up showing off a little bit of a little story time with an ogre that's wanted to be friends with the village living next to it, but the ogre was terrifying looking, so his friend ogre came over and was like, hey, if you want, I'll go cause a ruckus down in the village and you can come defeat me in a fight and they will like you, which is pretty symbolic to the show so far, because in this first episode what we constantly see is that Goda, being this huge guy, always has a crush on this girl, and this girl ends up having a crush on his friend Suna, who turns her down, to the point where this just becomes a recurring thing in his life, and it's so sad to see. You want this guy to have happiness, you want this guy to find a girl who actually likes him and not his best friend, and just this first episode alone is making you root for this thing to happen. I mentioned that he's in junior high. The show starts with him in junior high and they just are graduating. It's their last day at school, so he's running around and all the guys are talking about how much they're gonna miss him because they aren't going to the same high school, which is awesome because it shows that he's popular at least. And then he goes and he's like, I got this one last day. I'm gonna confess to the girl that I like. He runs down the hallway and she's confessing to his friend. The friend shoots her down, she's left very sad, and they just walk off and just goes on showing us a little more about their characters and how they met. Apparently they've been friends since very little because they've lived in the same apartment complex and their moms are best friends, so they'd always hang out when they were little. So we find out that Suna is extremely good at video games. Either that or Goda just sucks at video games, but I'm assuming that it's the other way. We also learn that Goda is very protective of people. Like, we have this moment where he hears a rumor that there's a creeper, like, stalking around an elementary school, and the next thing you see is him just standing there next to the school as this tower of a human, and he's got the most serious deadpan look on his face, and he's glaring at any passerby who looks like they might be a creeper, to the point where they call the cops on him because they think that he's the creepy guy now. And that leads us into our big part of this first episode, because they go on a train, I guess they're going to school or maybe just going around or whatnot, but they're on the train and they see this groper about to touch this girl's butt and whatnot. Very creepy. This sends Goda into like a weird little rage, where he immediately goes over, grabs the guy's arm and like lifts it up, and the guy's like panicking, like, what? And at first I was thinking, because so far we've had this little thing running of like, nothing goes right with Goda. Everyone turns out thinking it's the other way. They thought he was the creeper at the school, all the girls like his friend instead of him. So I was thinking they were gonna pull a joke where it's like, oh, it turns out the guy wasn't going to touch her, the guy was actually about to stop somebody else touching her, but no. It turns out the girl turns around and she's got the prettiest eyes! She's got such pretty eyes! And she looks up at him and thanks him, and I was like, oh, yes! Something good in this guy's life! They take the groper to the police, and he says, well, she's wearing such a short skirt that she was just asking for it, which sends Goda into another rage, and he just punches the guy, causing like a crack in the wall and everything, gets in trouble with the police again. So while he's on suspension for that, his friend comes over and they hang out, and then the next thing you know, the girl is at his house, and she brought him a cake and everything to thank him, and they hang out, and they seem to be having a good time, but when Suna says he's gonna leave, the girl says, "You're leaving already?" and immediately triggers a familiarity in Goda's mind, saying, okay, mate, she likes my best friend. I've seen this happen a bajillion times before. She likes my best friend. But they never say that. They never say that. In fact, they pushed this idea throughout this episode that she likes him, maybe. Or maybe she just wants to be friends with both of them. We don't know yet. The biggest factor is that they keep meeting up because she brought her cell phone at his house, so they meet up to go exchange the cell phone, and she brings them more treats, and it turns out she's baking all these things, and it makes him super happy. But he keeps getting this idea. His own mind keeps pushing this idea that she has a crush on Suna, which gets even worse when Suna says she's a nice girl, which apparently has never been said by him before in his entire life, which makes Gota think that Suna also might like her. So he's got this now he feels like he has this obligation to keep these two near each other and make them happy. That way she doesn't end up heartbroken like all the other girls that he liked that liked Suna. But then at the very end, she chases them down the street, panting and whatnot, because she apparently full-fledged sprinted after them just to ask Gota for his email address so they can keep in contact. And it's does she like him? Does she like him, or do they just want to be friends? And I don't know! I don't know! So, yes, I can see exactly why this show was recommended to me, because this is right up my alley. I love slice of life, comedy, romances like this, and this one is just doing it so perfectly so far in this first episode. I can't wait to watch the second episode. I'm gonna do that right after I finish recording. The animation so far is nothing too special other than when it goes to expressions on their faces, because Gota goes from he has the most expressive face I've seen in an anime in a very long time. His expressions are so detailed and bold that it's just it makes him stand out so much, especially in comparison to his friend Suna, who almost always has a straight face. And then the girl Yamato, she has the most adorable faces, because she's almost always nervous and blushing and all that. And whenever Gota gets close to her face, her eyes go to tiny little dots. She has a little V mouth, and her face gets super red, and she starts pouting, or not pouting, blushing and just going all super nervous, and it's so cute. And while I didn't notice it throughout the majority of the rest of the episode, at the very end when she chases him down and asks him for his email, there is a very, very beautiful violin track playing in the background, so much so that I actually want to look it up and see if it's on YouTube just so I can hear it again, because that was a really, really pretty piece of music that just added to a really amazing end to a first episode. This episode is a complete success by my standards. I can't wait to go on to the next one and continue watching it, and I'm already considering, do they have this on DVD or Blu-ray or whatnot, because this seems like something that I would really like. However, I think it's going to go to a very depressing path, because there is no good romance that doesn't have its share of tragedy in it. And this one, if it's gonna go full-fledged romance comedy, it's gonna have some sad moments in there to contrast. So yes, watch it if you can. I will have the link to Crunchyroll's free streaming at the very top of the description below. I recommend this to anybody who's looking for a funny slice-of-life romance with a weird twist of a giant dude and this tiny little adorable girl and their neutral friend. So yes, my name is MeisterBloo, and I will see you in the next episode. So until then, everybody, peace out.